I used to think giving more made me safer to love. More patience, more softness, more understanding, more access to me. I thought that if I could make other people comfortable enough, they would have no reason to leave. But I was wrong. Sometimes I was not giving from love. I was giving from fear. Fear that if I stopped being useful, I would stop being wanted. So I called it kindness. My body called it exhaustion. It rarely looked dramatic. It was one more reply when I wanted to sleep. One more explanation when I already knew my answer. One more moment of sweetness when I was tired. One more boundary softened until it barely sounded like a boundary at all. I was not losing myself in one great sacrifice. I was leaving myself in very small ways. A few minutes here, a little piece there, a little truth edited out of every conversation. And because each piece seemed so small, I told myself it did not matter. I became very good at reading the room. I could feel disappointment before anyone expressed it. I could hear a change in someone's tone. I could sense what would make them relax, what would make them feel special, what would keep the interaction warm. For a long time, I thought this was emotional intelligence. Sometimes it was, but sometimes what I called emotional intelligence was simply a very elegant form of self-abandonment. I was not reading the room. I was scanning it for danger. There was always an invisible question underneath my giving. What will happen if I stop? Will they think I am cold? Will they lose interest? Will they choose someone easier? Will they still love me when I am no longer useful? That last question was the hardest one to see, because it revealed the contract I had been signing without knowing it. I give more so I can feel safe. There is a kind of giving that comes from love. It feels clean. You choose it freely. You do not disappear inside it. You can offer warmth and still feel like yourself afterwards. And then there is giving that comes from fear. It feels urgent. Your body tightens. You say yes before you have asked yourself what you want. You give because the silence after no feels more frightening than the exhaustion after yes. From the outside, these two kinds of giving can look exactly the same. Inside the body, they feel completely different. I had to learn that guilt is not always proof that I've done something wrong. Sometimes guilt is simply the feeling of stepping out of an old role. The good girl, the easy girl, the girl who understands everything, the girl who does not need much, the girl who can absorb everyone else's discomfort and still smile beautifully. When I stopped playing her, part of me felt cruel. But I was not becoming cruel. I was becoming less available to being used. Setting a boundary was not the hardest part. The hardest part was what happened after. The silence, the second guessing, the urge to send another message, the desire to explain my whole soul so that nobody could accuse me of being unkind. A boundary is not only saying no. A boundary is surviving the feeling that comes after the no. When someone was disappointed, my nervous system treated it like an emergency. I wanted to run back and fix the weather. But someone else's disappointment is not always a storm I created. Sometimes it simply means they did not receive what they wanted. They are allowed to feel disappointed. They are allowed to misunderstand me. They are even allowed to leave. And I am allowed to remain myself. That realization changed my idea of femininity. I no longer believe softness means absorbing everything. I no longer believe being loving means being endlessly accessible. I no longer believe a feminine heart should be a public fountain that never runs dry. Femininity, to me, is not a door without a lock. It is a garden with a gate. A gate is not a wall. It does not say that nobody can enter. It says, enter with respect. It says, This place is cared for. It says, access is not automatic. For years, I confused openness with availability, but they are not the same. Openness is a quality of the heart. Availability is access. I can be open-hearted without being available to everyone. I can be kind without replying immediately. I can be warm without making myself reachable at all times. I can love people without giving them every key. I still want to give. I still love the feeling of making someone feel seen. I still want to create warmth, beauty, and connection. The answer was never to become cold. The answer was to become discerning, to pause before I offered the flower, to ask whether I actually wanted to give it, to notice whether my yes felt like light or like a door closing somewhere inside me. Now I try to listen earlier, before the resentment, before the exhaustion, before I say yes with my mouth while my body has already said no. Sometimes my body knows long before my mind admits the truth, the tightness after a message, the heaviness before a meeting, the small, shrinking feeling when someone asks for more. For years, I overruled those signals. Now I am learning to treat them like a compass. I ask myself, can I give this without abandoning myself? Will I still feel free afterwards? Am I giving because I want to, or because I am afraid of what will happen if I do not? And sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes I want to give generously. Sometimes love moves through me without costing me my center. But when the answer is no, I am learning to let no stand, without a 5-page apology, without turning it into a softer version of yes. I did not stop giving because I had nothing left to offer. I stopped giving myself away because I finally understood that I am also someone my love is meant to reach. My peace is not extra. My energy is not endless. My attention is not public property. My softness is not a debt. My love is not a refund for someone else's loneliness. There are people who love your warmth, and there are people who depend on your lack of boundaries. These can feel similar at first. Both may tell you how good you make them feel. But the difference appears when you close the gate. The person who respects you will knock gently. The person who only valued your availability will become angry that the door exists. That difference used to frighten me. Now it gives me information. Not everyone who feels good around me is good for me. Not everyone who wants my light knows how to stand near it without trying to possess it. So, I am learning to choose where my softness goes. Not with anger, with care, like watering the flowers that can actually hold what I pour. This does not make me less loving. It makes my love more honest. I can light another candle without giving away my own flame. I can share warmth without becoming fuel. I can offer beauty without becoming a product. I can care without becoming a container for every unmet need. I can give without giving myself away. I still forget sometimes. I still explain too much. I still feel the old pull to become useful, easy, and available on demand, but I notice sooner now. And when I feel myself leaving my own body to manage someone else's comfort, I pause. I put both hands around something warm. I let the phone glow in the distance, and I ask, what do I actually want to give? What am I afraid will happen if I do not? Can I stay with myself long enough to choose? That pause is where my freedom begins. Not in becoming untouchable, not in becoming someone who no longer needs love, but in becoming someone who no longer pays for love with self-abandonment. Maybe home is not a place. Maybe home is the moment I stop leaving myself to keep someone else from leaving. So this is why I stopped giving myself away. Not because I wanted to love less, because I wanted to remain present inside the love I gave. because I wanted my kindness to be chosen, not extracted, because I wanted my softness to remain alive. I can share my light without handing over the source. I can keep the gate and still grow roses. I can let someone walk away and still keep the bridge standing. And I can close one door without closing my heart. I am not running away. I am coming home.